Good afternoon. This is Chris, or better known as Lulabozo with Savvy Pants Shop. I am fortunate today to bring to you guys, and we've done a couple of these. It's been a day or two, but I've done a couple of these before. I wanted to share with you guys if I can bring you some amazing content that I think will make things better for you. We love to do that here at Savvy Pants Shop. So I ran across Mark Leonard that you see on the screen here wearing that awesome shirt called the Happiness Dude.
Yes.
Hello, Mark.
Hey, how are you, Chris?
Doing very well. I'm going to give a little background. Then I want to introduce you to Mark, and then Mark has some really interesting stuff. So we were standing in line at our national convention last July, and we were one of those really big lines. You had to pick up tickets or whatever it was. And Mark was standing right in front of us. So as we're standing in line, it takes a little while to do that. We end up breaking up in conversation. So we start talking, This was at a National LuLaRoe convention. End up talking, and Mark says, yeah, the Happiness Dude, Mark lived in Orlando. Mark, was that right?
I did at the time, yes.
Yeah, Mark lived in Orlando. We lived in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm like, hey, maybe we'll catch you again somewhere on Facebook, or maybe next year we'll see you. We ended up doing a training here in Arizona, and that was Mark, 2 months later or something?
Yeah, it was I think it was 3 months later.
Yeah, we put together a training, and lo and behold, who walks in but Mark and Becky? Like, what is wife? What are you doing here? Like, I thought you guys lived in Orlando. And they have since moved to Arizona. And we've gotten a chance to go out and have some coffee and talk a little bit more. And I was eminently curious back then, over a year ago, what is the Happiness Dude? What does the Happiness Dude do? But we never, like I never do, I didn't collect a card like a moron. And I never really got a chance to dig in a little bit with what Mark does, because I found it very interesting and certainly going to be very helpful for some people. So Mark, tell us a little bit about the Happiness Dude. How in the world did you name yourself that? Where did that come from? Talk to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of background on who Mark is.
Please.
So I actually am, in some circles, I'm known as Dr. Leonard, because I have a doctorate in leadership, and I teach at a local university, and I have been a global speaker. I've been putting together these really cool corporate trainings on how to get more productivity out of people, how to create a culture where people just go, man, it's Monday morning. I can't wait to get back to work. And if you're like most people, Sunday nights are the worst night of the week, because you're sitting here going, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. So Sunday night is ruined because you're thinking about the dread of that Monday morning commute. And I worked in corporations to try to help people get excited about what they do, to find value in what they're doing, to see that they have an impact, not just on their team or with their customers at their work, whatever it is that they do, but they have an impact and value to the world. And I've been doing that for years and years, and it hit me one day. I was all, wait a second. We do all this incredible work, and we spend millions and millions of dollars a year at a corporation to train people, to give them this information that will help them wake up and go, hoorah, I'm ready, I'm excited, I want to be here. But then they go home. And it's like the magic thing happens when they punch out of that proverbial clock, right? 5 o'clock hits, and they hop in their car, and all of a sudden, all of these stresses of the world start just weighing on them.
Yeah.
And by the time they get home, they're tense, they're frustrated, they're tired, they're carrying the weight of all of the worries of not just work, but now everything that they need to do at home. And it hit me one day, oh, wait a second. We're focusing on the wrong group of people. We're focusing on work, but if we focused on the individual at home, that's where we spend and have the greatest amount of impact in the world. And if we could find ways to be happier, find ways to achieve more, if we could find ways to change the lens of how we view the world, suddenly, not only are we going to be better moms and dads, brothers, sisters, fathers, whatever, right? We're going to be better people. And suddenly that weight that we have on us that is just so heavy on that ride home is going to start to dissipate. And that's what I want to focus on. Is I want to focus on the individual, because I find that the individual is where we have the greatest value and impact in this world.
Okay.
And the greatest currency we have is us. And so I named myself the happiness dude because in all of my studies and everything I've ever done, I have found that there's some secret recipes to happiness. And I just want to spread that, because my mission, my why, my mission is to elevate the happiness of one person. See, if I can impact one individual, I'm going to save a marriage. I'm going to save that vital, crucial conversation between a mother or father and their children. Mm-hmm. If I can impact just one individual, suddenly I'm actually going to be changing the world's happiness. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. So it's when you kind of look at the challenges of becoming better at work or becoming better at a certain task, is that you're kind of taking that into a different sense, become a better, happier person.
Yes.
And if you get that figured out, everything else will follow.
It really does. It's actually a really cool thing. I did this huge research study, because I'm a doctor, right? I mean, right. This is not only do I try to bring it out to the world, but I've also done hardcore research to find out what is the secret sauce and recipe. And what I love is that if I can impact this side of a person's life, it opens up to everything else and it impacts everything else. And so what I want to do is, if I can impact this sliver, suddenly, if they have a 9-to-5 job, they're going to be more productive. They're going to be happier doing it. If they have a side hustle, they're going to get more done. If they're leading a team, they're going to have more respect. They're going to be able to impact and know how to serve their team members.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love that. And of course, this is all as you run into somebody in a line somewhere. If you're like, what are the odds that you're right next to the happiness dude? How cool is that?
Okay. Hey, I'm going to tell you 100%, because Providence is real.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So like, you're supposed to be there in line. You didn't know that when you got there, and you're like, God, This is a really long line, but there's a reason you're supposed to be in there. So, which is pretty cool stuff. So as we were sitting there, now I know you've spoken at major corporations around the country and the world, but tell me specifically, you work with folks that are in direct sales, and you certainly work with people outside of direct sales.
Yes.
Tell me, what are the relations, as we have a lot of people that are going to watch this broadcast that are both in direct sales, and of course some that are not, but kind of tell me, put a little bit of some teeth into what you've seen. And you guys are in the direct sales business, have done extremely well in it. So
yeah.
Kind of tell me how what you found directly works and how that changes your business in direct sales.
Yeah. So I'm not going to give away all of the secret sauce today, because I think it'd be
yeah. Let me tell you this too. I think Mark's, we're going to be able to get him back again. So we're going to go over some more of this stuff in the future. So definitely look at all the links down below. Find those. Mark's got a Facebook page, website. I'm going to put all that in the description down below. Definitely follow those. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into some of these things. But what I find really fascinating is you've been able to apply some of these things to your own life. So you're not speaking from theory. You're actually speaking from practice, that
Yes.
You're actually putting these things into place in your business.
Yeah, it really is. So the greatest impact, I said earlier, one of the biggest and greatest, most effective currencies that we have in the world is us, the individual. We like to say, oh, if I sell this much, then I'll be able to purchase this much inventory. Or if I could recruit to build a big team, this is what I will get out of commissions or downlines or whatever you're thinking about. Whatever your model is for your direct sales business, if that's what we're going to talk about first, then that's all fine and dandy. But the reality is, and I've heard it 100 times, people don't buy your product. They buy you. And so what I tried to create is that valuable currency is who are you? And how can you get, I have something called my best self. And it is this, we all have it in our lives. I'll just touch upon it. We all have it in our lives as we think back and we go, oh, I wish I was, and then insert this age or insert this time frame in my life. Remember when is something that we love to say. Remember when we did this, and we're always looking back, right? And it's just kind of this rear view mirror view of our life. Well, if all we're doing is looking back, we're not making the steps that will bring that past to our present and to our future. And so one of the things I like to do is help people recognize what is their best self? What did that look and feel like? And then give them practical applications that they can utilize every single day. And when they do that, it's an amazing thing that happens, right? They're going to come from over here and all of a sudden they're going to take off in their business because they're going to have that confidence. They're going to have that optimism, that ability to see things. They're going to have resiliency. Resiliency is huge. It's this ability. It's not this nebulous idea of, oh, I want to be able to bounce back if something happens. It's something is going to happen in your life.
Sure.
Do you know how to get back and bounce back from it? That's resiliency. Do you have hope? Do you have this idea of being able to see this is where I am and this is where I'm going to be? And not only that, I know the steps and the paths and the goals to get there. See, everything we do in business, if it's in direct sales, if it's in some of the other businesses that my wife and I've owned, we used to own coolest companies. I owned a distribution company for the newspapers for a whole county. I owned the singular rights. If someone was to buy a newspaper within this whole county, they had to buy it through me. And people go, you were a paper boy? I go, yeah. Do you know how powerful that is to own the whole rights? Anyone that reads has to buy it through you. And then you create the distribution network to get it out there. You work with the stores and the marketing and all that.
Yeah.
It's an amazing business. Everything I'm talking about discusses those same, it'll impact direct sales. It'll impact the distributor of any product. Or we owned a jewelry store, beads and jewelry. Remember when that was really hot?
Yeah, absolutely. I knew friends that were big in it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were too. We had this huge store and, we had Swarovski crystals and we had your precious stones and we had all these things. And I was teaching, this is awesome. I was teaching how to make earrings.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. So all of these things that I've done have helped me understand the business owner, the business mentality, and also the corporate individual, and how to take this my best self application so that we could start improving upon our businesses. We can start improving upon our lives. Maybe you're a team manager for a soccer team and you want to be an impactful team manager, not someone that just takes in the money and schedules the trips, but has an impact on those youth athletes. I want to help you recognize how you can take some of those skills that we're going to teach to help you be a more effective team manager.
And give me an example. It could be either a personal example or clients or students that you've worked with before that have gotten to this point. Can you give me can you paint a picture of the before and the after? What it looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did so through LuLaRoe, which is where we met, right?
Correct.
We do fairly well with that. Okay. We do fairly well with that. We get that annual award trip is how I'll say it.
There you go.
Yeah. And we have a lot of fun with that. And that's my wife's main gig. Okay. And that's what she does. And she's passionate about it. Well, we've been able to go to some really cool trainings around the country with them. Well, I have had mentors reach out to me and say, hey, LuLaRoe is going to do this really big 3-day training for their leaders. Can you come a day early and give us a training as well? And I've done that at the very same site.
Mhm.
And I took this team of top leaders, and they talk about how their sales were at one point, and then afterwards, their sales increased. Their team management was feeling low, and we were able to increase it up, all because I was showing them the value of them as the individual, of them as that leader,
Yeah.
and how to serve their team and how to speak in a way that stops lying to themselves. Because
Okay.
that's the biggest thing I see right now is we are so fine-tuned to be really pathetic liars to ourselves.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and, and we say things like, I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too skinny, I'm too fat, I'm too old, I'm too young. I can't do this because somebody told me I couldn't. I can't name my child this name because I had a bad experience with someone 25 years ago with the same name. I can't,
Head trash? Is that, would you call it that? Head trash?
oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And we've got to get out of the game. And I give people this really cool way to overcome that
Okay.
on a daily application of things that you could do. And once you do that, really cool things happen. Your sales go up. Your productivity goes up. Your communication is more authentic. Your ability to communicate with your spouse will improve.
Got it. Okay.
All through this my best self, through this application of these assignments that I give. But if you don't, like anything in life, if you don't actually apply it, it's not going to be worth anything.
Yeah.
You know,
What was the, tell me what was the, there's usually, I kind of know for myself, I can look back and go, that was a pivotal point, where there's a turning, you can go left or right, and you took one of those and that made a big difference in the trajectory of where you're going. But was there, and for you, was there a turning point where you just figured this out? Was it a day or a time? And then can you explain like the old Mark and then the new Mark?
So, man, are you going to try to get me emotional today or something?
Hey, it's the way it
Okay.
works here.
So, do we have a couple moments?
Sure. Fire away.
Sorry, I'm getting emotional. This is how you know it's that pivotal turning point in your life. That someone, you and I haven't even chatted about this. You had no idea, and all of a sudden, you're asking, what is it that really impacts? Okay, so I was talking about my why. I was talking about that emotion behind it. Many years ago, I had a pretty big health scare. They found a tumor in my lung, in my right lung. And for years, I was diagnosed with lung cancer. What happened was this tumor started to grow, and it came time for them to take it out of me. And at that time, I still remember, this is not that long ago, by the way. This is only 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years this August. I was laying there with them getting ready to take out my lung. And I thought, my life has changed. I'll never be able to go see my grandkids and go hiking. I will never be able to go snorkeling. I'll never be able to go do some of the activities that I love to do. And it hit me, and depressed. I was so depressed. And it just hit me. Everything I know changed just instantly. And they went in to take out this tumor, and come to find out, it was not the tumor that they thought. When they took it out and they did the original biopsy on it, they found out that it was lymphoma. And they're trying to figure out how, what are we going to do? And one gentleman, just one technician, looked at it and said, hang on, this isn't lymphoma. He has what's called Castlemans disease. Castlemans, only 250 people a year are diagnosed with Castleman in the United States. So I realized, and there's 250 million people So I was not just one, I was literally 1 in a million. I was literally 1 in a million. And it was at that point that I went, hang on, I am 1 in a million. I am someone unique and special. And I have two choices. I could look at my life and say it's over, or I could decide that I want to change. And it was at that moment that I said, I need to change my focus. I need to change working with corporate America and work with individuals.
Mm-hmm.
I need to change working this grind to serving people, because I found that's what brings me happiness. That's what brings me joy. And it was at that seminal moment that I thought my life was over, that I had a reevaluation and a new way to look at it. And by the way, I have my lung. I'm healthy. I can do anything now that I ever wanted to do. But it has taken, it took that shake. It took that really bad experience for me to wake up.
To get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It always seems that there is one of those things. So, what do you, once you made that decision, kind of like what, so one of the things that I hear all the time is the grind, the hustle, the grind. And there's almost a bit of a perception that if you're not 24/7, ground down, candle at both ends, if you are not blood, sweat, and tears 24/7, then you're just not doing enough. And I've always wondered to myself, I'm not sure that actually brings, isn't that a finite thing? I mean, it's not a 24/7 indefinitely. Usually that leads to one of these things. But if you took a different approach, which is, man, this is my passion, I can't wait to wake up and do more of it. That seems far more energizing and empowering. Is that kind of where you're at?
Well, yeah. Not only that's where I'm at, that's what I practice.
Yeah.
And it's what I preach, right? It's you can only hold on to a rod for so long, white knuckled, grit, right? It's all about, I'm just going to do it and I'm going to power through this. But something happens have you ever held on to something for a long period of time? You get muscle fatigue, right? And then your fingers cramp and you're like, I can't open them. I can't enough and go, well, that was painful. That was terrible. Do you really want to live your life in this whole idea of, I'm going to work in this grit form and hold on and get muscle fatigue? Because if you do, you can only do it for a short amount of time. And what happens is your whole body crashes. And when you crash, everything crashes. Your business, your relationships, your health. It's not a good way to run your business or run your life. So you need to take very specific moments throughout your day to practice mindfulness, to re-ground yourself. Oh, that's funny. As soon as I did that, I instantly put both feet down on the ground. I put my hands down. I started doing it just without even thinking about it.
Practical. Yeah. Still there? You're breaking up again. There you go. Say it again.
Oh, I am so sorry. So it's important that we ground ourselves and take those moments in time and look at life through a grateful heart as opposed to a grit heart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, and maybe that's a good segue into, you've got a website. I'm going to put all that information in the description down below, in the courses that you offer and how they work and all that kind of stuff. We won't dig too much into that right now, just to know that it does exist. And we'll get back at this again, and we'll do some special mojo and get the internet connection dialed in, because we dropped off a little bit there, but that'll add flavor to the video. Yes. That'll add resilience.
Well, hey, it's real. We all have those experiences.
It's the way it goes. So next time I will strategically drop the internet right when, and then get back into it.
Yes.
So we'll dig back into that. And I know, Mark, you're teaching at a college right now. You're teaching this material. So this is something that this isn't like just a hobby. This is like legitimately what you do. you're teaching this, you're implementing it in your business, and you're teaching this to others. So if we could steal some more of your time in the future and kind of dig into some what that course material is, what it is, how it works. And then as we were talking, what's the best way for people, like if there's one place to go to catch the most of Dr. Mark Leonard, where should I send them?
Go find me on Facebook. Go look up The Happiness Dude.
Pretty easy. Excellent.
That's the easiest way to track me and find me.
We'll do that. I'll put that in the description down below. If you guys want to follow Mark there, you can. Stay tuned to this channel. Subscribe here. Also, subscribe, like, share, notifications. You know the drill. Do that. And then we're going to do a follow-up video with Mark and maybe dig into a little bit more of some of those specifics or something there's actionable that you can subscribe to. Mark's got a podcast. He's got all sorts of things that you guys can get in touch with him with. If you want to, you know, they say if you spray some perfume on someone, you're bound to get a little bit on yourself. So if you hang around this stuff long enough, you're bound to get some of it on you. And to hang around someone like the Happiness Dude is probably not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
You will smile a little bit. And that's what we're looking for.
That's the deal, right? So like if you're around the guy like the Miserable Dude, I'd say probably spend very little time on his website.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would suggest that. So we'll dig more into that in the next video. Mark, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris.
We will certainly do this again soon. So Savvy Pants Shop coming at you again. Over and out. We'll talk to you soon. Be good. Be good at it. Peace.